Everyday English Podcast
by English Talking Today.
Hello, and welcome to English Talking Today. I'm Mary. Today, we're diving into a topic that I know many of you struggle with, and honestly, it's something everyone, even native speakers, can find tricky: how to start a conversation in English. You might have a great vocabulary and understand grammar rules, but when it comes time to actually speak to someone, especially a stranger, your mind goes blank. The words just disappear. It's like your brain has hit a giant red stop button. If that sounds familiar, you're in the right place. We're going to break down why this feels so difficult, and then I'll give you some simple, practical tools to help you start conversations with confidence. First, let's talk about why this is so challenging. Why does it feel like a mountain you can't climb? The biggest reason is often the fear of making mistakes. We get so worried about saying the wrong word or using the wrong grammar that we don't say anything at all. We play out these worst-case scenarios in our heads. What if they don't understand me? Or what if I sound stupid? We worry about our accent and feel embarrassed. Another huge factor is forgetting words. You know a word perfectly well when you're studying, but in the moment, it just vanishes from your memory. It's a classic case of pressure getting the better of you. And of course, there's shyness. Maybe you're just a shy person by nature, and speaking to a stranger in your native language is already hard, so doing it in English feels even more intimidating. Finally, let's not forget about cultural differences. In some cultures, it's not common to just strike up a conversation with a stranger on the bus or in a cafe. So, the act itself can feel unnatural, even before you add the language barrier. All of these feelings are completely normal, and you are not alone in this. So, how do we tackle these feelings? It all starts with your mindset. You have to change the way you think about communication. The most important thing to remember is this: you don't have to be perfect. I'll say it again. You don't have to be perfect. The goal is not to speak like a native English speaker. The goal is to communicate. It's to connect with another person. Think of every conversation as an opportunity to practice, not a test you have to pass. If you make a mistake, who cares? Seriously. Most native speakers won't even notice, or if they do, they'll appreciate that you're trying. We all make mistakes. Another simple but powerful tip is to smile. A smile is a universal language, and it instantly makes you seem more approachable. When you smile, you feel less tense, and the other person feels more at ease. It breaks the ice before you even say a word. And finally, and this is probably the hardest one, you need to believe in yourself. You have to tell yourself, I can do this. Confidence isn't something you're born with. It's something you build, one small victory at a time. The first step is just believing it's possible. Now, let's get into the nitty-gritty. Simple conversation starters. Forget those complex, long sentences you might find in a textbook. The best conversation starters are short, natural, and easy to remember. The easiest place to start is with a greeting. Just a simple hello, how are you, or hi, how's it going is perfect. If you're at a cafe, you could say, good morning, how's your day going? It's polite, and it opens the door for the other person to respond. Another classic that works almost anywhere is talking about the weather. It might sound boring, but it's a great safe topic. For example, it's a beautiful day, isn't it? Or, wow, it's so cold today. The other person can easily agree or add their own comment. This is especially good for places like a bus stop or a park. You can also ask about daily life. If you're standing in line at the grocery store, you could ask, is it always this busy on a Friday? Or if you see someone with a dog, what's your dog's name? He's so cute. These questions are simple and specific to the situation. Speaking of the current situation, this is one of my favorite methods. Just look around you and comment on what's happening. If you're at a concert, you could say, this band is amazing, right? Or if you're in a class, did you understand the last part of the lecture? This shows you're present and gives the other person a clear topic to respond to. The key here is to keep it simple, observational, and non-intrusive. Okay, so you've successfully started a conversation. Now what? How do you keep the conversation going? This is the next level of the challenge. The number one rule is to listen. Don't just wait for your turn to speak. Really listen to what the other person is saying. This will help you ask follow-up questions. For example, if someone says, I spent the weekend hiking in the mountains, don't just say, oh, that's nice. Instead, ask a follow-up question like, oh, which mountains did you go to? Or, was the weather good for hiking? This shows genuine interest. Another great strategy is to use short responses to show you're engaged. Things like, really? That's interesting, or, oh, I see, let the other person know you're following along. Don't forget to share your own thoughts, but keep it brief at first. For instance, if they're talking about their weekend, you could say, that sounds fun. I had a really relaxing weekend at home. This adds to the conversation without putting all the pressure on them. A huge mistake many people make is giving one-word answers. If someone asks, do you like coffee? And you just say, yes, the conversation dies right there. A better response is, yes, I do. I usually have a cup in the morning to wake up. This gives them something to respond to. The last tip for keeping it going is to ask open questions. An open question is one that can't be answered with a simple yes or no. For example, instead of do you like your job, which can be answered with a single word, try what do you like about your job or how did you get into your line of work? These questions encourage the other person to share more, and they can provide great opportunities for you to keep the conversation going. All good things must come to an end, and knowing how to end a conversation politely is just as important as knowing how to start one. You don't want to just walk away in the middle of a sentence. It can be awkward and a little rude. A simple and classic way to end a conversation is to say, it was nice talking to you. You can add a brief reason for needing to leave. For example, it was nice talking to you, but I should probably get going now, or I've got to run. It was nice meeting you. You can also give a reason related to the current situation, like, I should probably get back to work now, or I've got to catch my train. If you want to be a little more forward, you can also say something like, well, I hope you have a great rest of your day. It's polite and signals the conversation is over. Now, let's talk about some common mistakes to avoid. First, don't try to memorize long sentences. It's so tempting to want to prepare these perfect, complex sentences, but when you do this, you sound robotic and you'll panic when you forget a single word. It's much better to have a few simple phrases you can adapt. Second, don't speak too fast. When we're nervous, we tend to rush our words. This makes it harder for the other person to understand you and harder for you to think. Take a breath and speak slowly and clearly. It's perfectly okay to have a short pause. The third mistake is not listening carefully. As I mentioned before, you need to hear what the other person is saying to know how to respond. If you're just thinking about what you're going to say next, you'll miss key information. And finally, don't be afraid of short silences. A few seconds of silence can feel like an eternity when you're nervous, but it's completely normal. Sometimes, people are just thinking about their next words or enjoying a moment. You don't have to fill every second with chatter. The most important part of this whole process is practice. You can listen to this podcast 100 times, but nothing will change until you actually put these tips into action. So here are a few simple practice tips you can use right away. First, practice with yourself. Stand in front of a mirror and pretend you are having a conversation. You can talk about your day, the weather, anything at all. This might sound silly, but it helps you get used to seeing yourself speak and hearing your own voice in English. You can also record your voice on your phone. Listen back to yourself and see if you're speaking too fast or if your pronunciation is clear. It's a great way to identify areas for improvement. You can also use language apps. Many apps have features that allow you to practice speaking and even get feedback. Finally, and this is crucial, practice with short, simple sentences every day. Don't feel like you have to have a 30-minute conversation. Try starting with a simple hello to the barista at the coffee shop or asking the time from a person on the street. These small wins will build your confidence. Remember, a journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. Starting a conversation is that first step. So, to recap, starting a conversation in English can be scary, but it's not impossible. Change your mindset from one of perfection to one of communication. Use simple conversation starters based on greetings, the weather, or your current situation. Keep the conversation going by listening carefully, asking open-ended questions, and sharing your own thoughts. End a conversation politely with a simple closing phrase. And most importantly, practice, practice, practice. You have the tools now. The next time you see an opportunity, don't let your fears stop you. Take a deep breath, smile, and just say hello. You'll be amazed at what happens next. Thank you so much for tuning in. I hope this episode gives you the confidence to go out there and start a conversation today. If you have any questions or want to share your own experiences, you can find me on YouTube at English Talking Today. I love hearing from you. Until next time, keep practicing, keep learning, and keep talking. Goodbye.